Release the Kraken!
Welcome back, fellow game designers. Ron here at Lame Duck Studios, and we are continuing on with our elf. In the last part, we did some additional details, kind of making it look a little prettier. And this one, we're going to go ahead and start painting everything. So, I'm going to go ahead and select my elf body. Plug a little eyeball here, turn him off, turn him on. That way I can actually see him and not the background here. Oh, there he goes. I'll hit the lock button to unlock him. Come down, I'll lock the hoodie. Poke the hoodie, I'll turn that one off. I don't need the hair on for this, so I'll turn the hair off. And then down here, we have our painting tools. I'm going to choose my paintbrush. And I'm going to go ahead and paint on my model. Now the moment I paint, it's going to say, hey, we don't have anything to paint on. Do you want to make a paint layer? I'm going to say yes. So I'm going to break the body up into layers, and I'm going to kind of stack them. Okay. So I'm going to call this one skin. As for the texture size, I'm going to do 2048. And then it's going to be, we're not going to use a TIFF file. Unreal does not like TIFFs. So I'm going to go down and do a Targa. And then the channel is going to be a diffuse type. Now you do have a few other options. You can make it, a specular or normal or whatever. But the main color I'm going to do is going to be a diffuse. Go ahead, OK. When we do that, it's going to process. And then over in our layers, you can see we have our first layer, and it's our skin. And this is going to be the base color for my skin. So over here I have my color. Now skin is actually several different colors mixed together, so it's not, if you're Caucasian, it's not just pink, whitish. It's there's blues and greens and reds and all kinds of stuff in there. So getting into the actual colors of skin is a very long process. So what I recommend doing is actually Googling a skin tone palette. So if you go over to the wonderful god of Google and just type in, skin tones, you can pick a palette for whatever skin type you're looking for. So if you're African American or Asian or Caucasian, whatever, you can pick a palette that suits you. Let's do this one. I'm going to grab this one right here. You can see it brings up a bunch of different bars. I'm going to go ahead and use this. I'm going to right click and copy. And then over in Photoshop, I'm going to go ahead and create new. It should just be the size of the thing that you copied. So I copied, whatever it is. And you can see a start new from clipboard document. Let's go ahead and select that and hit create. I'm going to hit Control V to paste in that color tone. You can see they have the color tones, the actual color code right there. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use RGB. And I'm going to make the base skin color right about this here. So I'm going to go ahead and use my color dropper. That's this. I'll click in here. And then I'll double click on that color to bring up the palette. And you can see I have the CMYK, I have the HSB, and the L, whatever all these are. And then the one that I care about, though, is right here, is the RGB. And you can see the color code is also right here. So that's color code there, and there's the hashtag for that as well. You can also copy that and bring it in to Mudbox. So I'm going to go ahead in here, go hit color. And then in here, I have my numeric input. Open that up. You can, of course, create your own color palettes as well. But I'm going to look at right here where it says RGB. You can see RGB is set to 1. But if we go to Photoshop, it's set to 255. So I'm going to change my range here from 0 to 1, from 0 to 255. And now I can just type in those values. So R is 255, green is 195, and then 160. So 255, 195, and then, what was that, 150? 160. And I hit done. And now I can start painting onto my character. So I'm going to go ahead and change my brush size and just start painting the base color of my skin. I'm going to hit W to turn off the wireframe. Gonna look around for any spots that I may have missed, like under the chin, behind the ears, top of the head. Okay, so I have the paint. Make sure I grab my paintbrush. And there's probably okay. If you have an area that you want to erase, there is an eraser here, paint eraser. You can do that, dial it back, because I shouldn't have any skin on the clothing. So anywhere that the skin is overlapping the clothes, dial that back. Now, the thing I want to show you is we are actually painting directly onto the UVs here. So if I go to UV view right here on this tab, you can see the UVs right here. If we did not have these painted or laid out, we wouldn't be able to do this. So you want to make sure UVs are done before we attempt this. Okay. And Mudbox probably won't even let you do it. Sometimes it does. All right, I'll go ahead and do the hands. If he has gloves, you can paint gloves on. But I'm just going to go ahead and do the hand painting. Paint. Get my brush size up. I'll just start painting this. You could add like the little creases under the hand, the little wrinkles and the folds and stuff. I'm not going to do that for this. It's just time consuming. But if you want it to be more accurate, more lifelike, that's one of those things you would add in. I made a tough spot for myself right here. Grab my eraser. Trying to get in there without ruining what I have on the hand here. Sorry, I'm used to ZBrush, so as I'm painting, I'm trying to erase as I paint, and it's not letting me do that. All right, got my sculpting tool. I was gonna not do this, but I have to. My OCD is just telling me to do it. Didn't really plan for that, so the geometry is not the way it should be. Like that's all twisted under there. Anyway, good enough. So we have our skin. And just to show you, I'm not going to go too much detail here. I always say that and then end up doing it. So I'm going to go to my layers, make sure I'm in my paint layer. I have skin, right? I'm going to make a new layer and hit this little page here. And this might be, you can do highlights or midtones or whatever. I'm going to call this red tones. Red tones. That'll pop in. You can change the order of these by dragging them, kind of like in Photoshop. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and load my other color. Let's see. Which one has more red in it? I think this one's slightly more red. Grab that one. 229, 175, 144. So 229. Was that 175, 144? And I do want this to be shifted slightly more red. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag that slider a little bit more red. And done. Okay, so this one I might add, like the red lips. So go ahead and add that on. Now it kind of looks like it has lipstick, but I can add that on, and I come up to my tones here, my red tones. There's actually a little scale value here, and I can drop that down. Right now it's 100%. I can drop down to like 25%, and it adds just a little bit of redness. Or I can do 50%, and it adds a little bit of color to the skin. You do that for, like your cheeks if you want to add like blush or whatever. I'm just going to do it on the lips there. But let's say I do another one. I'll do another one. I'll call this one, I don't know, veins. And I'll grab this color. And it's nice it keeps like a history of your colors. Veins tend to be more on the bluish side, so I'll just drag this over to the purplish blue. Sure. And this is just an example here. Once I have those, let's say occasionally, you might have like a vein like on the forehead, right? And this is where symmetry is probably not the greatest idea, so I'm going to turn symmetry off. Like maybe there's a little vein that runs along the forehead there, right? I can take that, I can adjust my blending mode, I can take that down to 25%, or maybe 15, and then it's one of those things that's kind of subtly under the skin, give them some detail. There are also some blending modes. So up here, we have normal, and what normal does is it's the regular color, but you can take that, and just like you would in Photoshop, you have dissolve, darken, multiply. So I like to multiply, I get that kind of result. If I continue to step it down, there's color burn, and so on. And you can blend these to get different results. Okay. Do mine as a normal. And then whatever detail you do looks better if you actually carve it in. So like if I had this vein, right, and I wanted to show up, I would very carefully go back under my sculpting tools and I would carve that vein in. That way it like pushes out from the skin. So like, turn symmetry off, I'll grab that, and very carefully do a page up. Oh, way too sharp. Let's go down one. You can see I made a bit of a lump here. I can't undo because I changed my subdivision levels. So I'm kind of stuck with that now. Too strong. Right, so now like that vein looks like it's there. It's not just whatever, just some dude that has a weird, vein on his head. Maybe this could be like a scar. Now that it's there, could make the skin jagged. So I'm gonna roll with the punches here. This is now gonna be a scar. Come back to my color. Go to my red tones. Or I can add a new layer called Scar. Grab my color for the scar. I'll use that red tone. Maybe that's going to be on top of the veins. Alright. So now I'll give him some features to my little elf. Okay. And the next tutorial we'll start with the clothing, and I will see you next time.